through the butterfly.
Hello, my darling. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to see such lovely, beautiful faces today. Oh my gosh, Alison, what can I say? This book has taken me, I would say, maybe 10 years in the making, in the thought process, and maybe even before that, because I had it in my heart, and I'm a type of person that every time something's coming into me, like to inspiring me, I will start writing, and I write in journals, I write in paper, I write in books, and I just have a collection there. And back in 2009, I came back to England. I went over to Trinidad to live for a while, and I came back, and I was in a very turbulent marriage at the time, and I used to really write down my emotions, and so I was really trapped in that marriage, and I just felt that there was an incident happened, and I went to a women's group at the church, and I was able to express myself and say exactly what happened at the time. And when I did, there was a number of women came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh my gosh, that happened to me. Oh my gosh, I'm going through this." And then it dawned on me that this happened a couple of times when I went to speak or to share my testimony. And then I realized that my story, absolutely, although it was a hard one, it encouraged other people, it encouraged other women, it encouraged men. So I felt it in my heart that I wanted to write about my situation. But in order to write about that event of my life, it wouldn't have made sense if I didn't go back to the root. And the root was book one, in the sense of I had to go way back to childhood to find out where it stemmed from. Because you're this person, and then something's made you this person. Something's made you the way you think, the way you choose relationships. Why am I choosing the same man over and over again, the same type of man? Why is it I'm just the victim mentality? The victim mentality. And what it is, when I went right back to the root was then from my earliest memories of childhood when I was about 3 or 4. And the reason why I can remember those times is like our parents were really good at taking photographs a lot. So my mum and dad had albums. We've got albums of pictures of Tanty so-and-so and Uncle so-and-so and siblings and brothers. It's just a full story book of pictures in the album. So when I look at photos of me when I was 3, 4, when I went to Trinidad, my first holiday, it triggers memories of that time. So I have clear visual memories of those times and those photographs. My children always say to me, "Mum, you always with your camera, you're always taking pictures," because I want to capture moments. And I'm always worried that I'm going to forget the moments. So I always want to capture it on video or capture it on photograph. So this is why Absolute Butterfly came out. And the reason why I chose the title was because I identify a lot with caterpillar and butterfly and transformation, because it feels like you start off, sometimes you start off really low, and you start off not looking appealing, your parents might be not that great, your future might not look that great, and you're just crawling and you feel lonely. And then something inside of you changes. You get to a certain point where your enough is enough. And the only time when you can change is when that enough comes. Because you can tell somebody, get out of that relationship, go to this job, and they'll be stressing out in those situations. But until they're ready, they're not going to move. They're not going to move. They have to reach to the edge, right at the edge, and then that's it. It's over. They fight for the change.
So it's almost like you not actually push someone.
Yeah, exactly. So with myself, I got to buy enough, and I started to say, you know what, I'm going to write poetry that I found, she said, you know what, I had such a collection of poetry. So she said, you know, do the poetry book first. And the poetry book has a lot of expressions of me in it. I have a long-term illness called hemiplegic migraine, which makes it look like I'm having a stroke. But I had a stroke when I was 29, but since then I've had TIA, and then afterwards I was left with a condition called hemiplegic migraine. When I do get these migraines, my speech goes, my right side goes, my visual impairment, my get tinnitus. It falls apart. I have to get vertigo, and then I have trouble word finding, and then I can't speak properly. Then I speak like I'm a Russian. I speak like I'm from Poland. I go around the world. And my family's so used to me that we laugh about it. We really do, because it's like they'll see me and they'll hear me talking and they'll, oh, Auntie's hit the bottle again. It sounds like I'm either drunk, taking something to get high, or I'm a foreigner and English is my second language. So the last time this happened was in March. The whole of March, I had no speech. It was really bad. And then, thank God, just coming up to the end, my speech came back and I was able to drive and do the things that I normally do. But I came out from that cocoon of, there's no self-pity when I get ill. There's no, when I go through situations with family or friends, I handle it a different way now. And I feel like I've come out of that cocoon, and it's not just the old me that's come out, it's me with a brighter perspective of life and just becoming. And this book is journeying from childhood trauma and abuse that happened. Different kind of things that happened in my childhood with school and friends from the road and family, my granddad, and realizing that I thought the way they showed love was love, but that wasn't your love. And I had to find love myself the hard way. And then when it did show itself, I was confused because I'm thinking, but I'm not used to this. I'm used to being treated badly and roughly, and my body being abused and everything else. And when it came, it took a long time for me to process, to say, this is real, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to be treated as. With this book, let me tell you, let me read a bit of the introduction for you to get a general idea. As adults, we yearn to go back to our childhood, when life was less complicated. There was an element of freedom, free to play, free to explore, and no bills or debts to worry about. The only relationship problems we had were falling out with friends over toys. It's also fair to say that not everybody's childhood was blissful. Abuse comes in many forms: emotional, physical, sexual, and spiritual. And it isn't until adulthood that we reap the harvest of such. And I go on to say, what was the other thing? Relationships are meant to complement, not to complete. The man should bring his best, and the woman should bring her best, and together they should complement each other. I learned this the hard way. As you'll see, by not being able to speak up for myself and my desires and needs, my fear of asking for something due to a fear of rejection, never getting the reinforcement that I was worthy, and an increased lack of self-confidence. This chronicles the journey from childhood up to about the age of 30, when I had the stroke. I had a stroke, and I then found Jesus. I became a born-again Christian, and my life totally turned around. I received healing, but the healing that I got, it was not instant in some form. I realized that a lot of the things I was going through was kid anyway, when they get to eat my heaven. It's like, it doesn't make sense going to church, doing all the nice things, and you've got unforgiveness in your heart, you ain't getting nowhere, you forget it, you have to get it gone. But I realised that forgiveness was key, and the main person I needed to forgive was myself. The self-condemnation that I went through, the self-hurt that I put myself through, the belief that I was the cause of all the things that happened to me in the past. And it was, after each chapter of this book, there is a poem that complements the chapter you just read. And that poem is literally my self-conscious apologizing about her situation. Hush, little grandchild, don't say a word. You found grandpa, but no sounds could be heard. Images flooded your eyes and mind. Surely this was not what you expected to find. Silent questions with answers that made no sense. You stand in church, nausea grows intense. There's a sweet aroma of an unusual incense. The one you least expected has again broken your innocence. Who is friend? Who is foe? Baby girl, back then, not even I did know. Being frozen has become habitual. You lock off to reality. You shut off the brutality of the obscene words of profanity, questioning your virginity. Hush, my little dookie, for I am to blame. Again, I didn't protect you. I'm so sorry, I feel ashamed. I am you, and you are me, trying so hard not to induce in your fear. That freezes you, so all you can do is cry out with flowing tears. You are loved, I promise. A love that is pure and real. In years to come, you will realize it's Jesus Christ. Until then, dry your eyes. Block out that illegal touch. Hush now, most beautiful dookie, as it's all too much. Hush now, please forgive me. Yours sincerely, me. I don't know what else to say really. It's just but that's basically the essence of the poems. That when you read the chapter, it's my self-conscious from a little girl, just apologising and just letting you know it's not your fault. Things happen. You know, I might have made you to be quiet when you should have said something out loud. Sometimes your mind tells you, I might not get up, but really and truly, you should have got up. And then later on in life, you feel guilty that you've done bad. But life is life, and I'm so proud of this book. I treasure it. I love the speed of it. It's so nice. If you're inspiring to write a book, I say write and be blessed and encouraged, because your book is not only a release, because this really released me of just gave me an inner peace, but it's encouraging other people. When other people read it and they're encouraged and they feel inspired, it brings me a joy to say, well, God, you know what, you downloaded me words, because even now with my poetry book, Download from Heaven, it's just been a joy for God to just literally download to me things, and I'll write them down, and sometimes I look at it and think, I never wrote this, that doesn't make sense to me, but it made sense. It totally makes sense. I would use words in a poem, and I don't know what that word means. And I'll go to Google Dictionary to look it up, and then realise, oh, it fits. I don't know where that came from. I don't know how I managed to figure that out, but it fits. So I really do believe that my writing is Holy Spirit inspired. I think I've been put in a place to touch other people's lives and bring a blessing and a hope, and to let you know that no matter what you go through, be it highs, be it lows, struggles, beside you, and He will never leave you. One of His promises, one of God's promises is He knows the plans for our lives. Plans not to harm us, but to do us our perfect end. So that's it.
Lead to become an author? What was
my drive was I wanted to speak out, and I wanted desperately for my story to be known. Not because I was like, oh yeah, who are you? You're a big film star. But it was just like I knew something in my heart told me what I had inside and what I've been through. It's not for nothing. It's not. I never went through struggles or highs or lows just for my self-gratification or for me to put myself up on a platform. I really believe it was for other people, and to show that, okay, yeah, I went through that. Yes, I was a caterpillar, but now I'm a butterfly. Yes. And I'm flying, and I'm feeling good. Yeah, trials, I'm not saying life is like hunky-dory all the time. Trials do come, but I have a maker. I have a God beside me, and I've got good friends, I've got good family. I love to travel. Travel is my medicine, my tonic. I just came back from Trinidad yesterday. So it's just like, I don't know, it was sweet. Mom's mango tunas are all sweet. Yeah, so it was basically I just wrote down in books. So when I did decide that I wanted to write a book, put it in book form, I had to then take everything from the notebooks and type it up. I'm old school. Everything was writing. We wrote everything. Not me and laptops and computers. I don't even know the difference between a book and a laptop and a whatever you call them. I just my kids always laughing at me. But I really felt that I just needed to write this, and this was a stepping stone for the book that I'm currently writing, which is what inspires this book. You get what I mean? It was like it didn't make sense writing that book without writing this book, for you to get an understanding of where I came from, to know, okay, this is why she thinks like this. Okay, this is why she picked up the mindset, and this is why she falls in love too fast. And this is why she is vulnerable again. And this is why, because it comes back from day dot. And not everything is, because my dad left, and because this is why I'm this, because it's not, my dad didn't leave, by the way. But I'm just saying, yeah, I came from, I was the youngest of 5, so I was a spoiled child. I love it. It's a good feeling, isn't it?
It is nice being a wash.
Oh, when you're washed belly, it's so nice. You get spoiled. I think my love of traveling came from when I was a young child, because when my older siblings, my sister's 10 years older than me, and my brother before me, he's 6 or 7 years older than me. So I was way down the line, and they were 1 year apart. And then there was a long gap. And then I came to save the day. When they all left home, Mum still had me. So it was, it was such an experience that because I came from such a big family, I knew that I wanted to come from that. I wanted to have that big family too. I used to always say when I was little, I want 5 children. I want 5 children, because I was one of 5. And then circumstances, obviously when you, if you ever read the book, I did get pregnant at 18, boy. And my mum wasn't too pleased. She's not talking to me. But it was like, through my auntie, she was like, oh, Esther, leave the child now. She's done her studies. She's a chef. She's doing her thing. Just leave her. She's fine. She's in a good relationship. And then just when I was just about to have my first child, she came around. And we've all got a good relationship, or my whole family's got a good relationship. And the journey, a lot of the journey in this book is from when I met my husband, my first husband, and he was the father of my 5 children. And I always made a point that I know people's circumstances are different, and I used to always see friends in the street and they'll be like, you know, the single mums walking up and down, there's a teenager, had babies, and their life was just, is going to the council house and get a council property. That was the era that I was living in. And I didn't want to be stereotyped like that. I wanted to be stereotyped that I was married. I guess I had 2 children by the time I was 23. I don't all with the same man, excuse me. So I felt like I was up there, you know what I mean? Because I had status, I was married, and I was, you know, my children was for them. But they had a cheat to always ask you, oh, they're the same dad. So always are they the same dad? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So that was my experience, and with marriage, it's not always a fairy tale that you think of when you're a small child. It comes with its ups and downs. And because I married young, I got married at 20, just turned 20. And my husband was 28. No, he was 30, when he was 28. But he's 10 years older than me. And it was a roller coaster. We laughed well, but we fought well as well. So when I went to write this book, I wrote it as a third person because I couldn't bear reading about myself. It made sense for me to write I'm writing about another person. So the other person was called Maria in the book, and I wrote it like, Maria did this and she did that and whatever. And then when I took it to the publisher and went to edit, I was like, no, you need to write it, this is your story, you need to write it as, I did this and I did that and I had to own it. I had to own it. So why it took me so long to write was because every time I went through a difficult moment, I needed to breathe. I needed to step back and relief, and that was the point of every time I wrote about something that was a bit touchy, it was my forgiveness. It was my going through that forgiveness part, not only for that person, but for myself as well. And I could always say, oh yeah, I forgave Granddad, yeah, I forgave Granddad a long time. But when I started to write about the situation that happened, I realised the hurt was still there. So maybe you haven't really forgiven because it's right deep inside. And I always believe skeletons in the closet. I don't believe skeletons belong in the closet. I think they belong in the grave. And I didn't want that feeling like you've got skeletons in the closet. They need to come out. And I used to speak to my mum a lot about certain things that's happened in my life, and she shared with me things that's happened to her in the past as well. So she connected with me in that way, and she understood when I told her about what my granddad on my father's side had done. It's I don't know what else to say.
We've got some hands up. Q&A.
Questions.
Go ahead.
When you were unwell, you said you had a stroke.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that, with your mindset?
Right, so when I had the stroke, I was going through a very difficult time in my marriage, and it's literally the stress that brought the stroke on in the first place. It was stress related. So at the time, my husband had lost his job, and I felt like I always felt that it was my fault that he had to work so hard because I had children. I mean, I had 3 children, but we had 3 under 5s at one time. So it was always so difficult. And then after I had the 3rd child, when he was about 2 months old, I got pregnant again. And it was a very difficult time. And it was because the guilt of the pressure on my husband and the way he gets the money, and you're difficult raising the kids, and you got, the childcare and the this and the other. So, long story short, I had to put that baby to sleep. And I can never say that A word, don't like it. To put the baby to sleep. And it haunted me. It haunted me. And because I always felt that guilt, I worked 3 jobs, 7 days a week. So I worked as a nursery, in the nursery as a nursery chef. Then I worked with a company doing catering for high society. So we catered for the royal family, people like celebrities and people of high status in the world. And Guildhall, the state dinners with the Queen, we did catering for that. So that was in the evening time, but I had the evening stuff. And then on the weekends, I worked as a weekend chef in a home in Victoria, and I live in Greenford, so it was a trek. So with all that, with running house and seeing to the children, it was a lot. I think my body just broke down, it just shut down. So with that, my husband at the time went through a breakdown. At the time, I didn't see that. At the time, I'm thinking, you're evil, you're wicked, you're horrible, you're not treating me good. And because I couldn't speak properly, I lost my speech totally. Nothing like what happens now. I lost my speech so bad, I had to have speech therapy. And it only came back 2.5 years later. And for me to regain being able to speak again, I had to go through the Janet and John books. I had to start reading those to try to understand words, form sentences, and literally learn the English language all over again. And I lost my ability to cook. I forgot all about being a chef. I couldn't boil rice. I couldn't put a salad together. I lost everything. Everything I totally lost. So I gained it all back. 2.5 years later, I gained it all back. But it was never the same as before. I had to give up the high society stuff because my right side is a lot weaker than my left. And when you're doing that side of catering, when you do silver service, you have 10 covers that you hold on one hand. So there's like 10 people that you serve all at once in the state dinners, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So that was my thing. So at the time, with the stroke, it was a very difficult time. And then there was a part when I was going away, the doctors advised me to go away to convalesce. So I went away from the kids, away from marital life, to go somewhere, get some peace. I was went to Trinidad, and my husband was meant to take me to the airport, but he waited until the very last minute, and I'm due to go to the airport, said he's not taking me. And I can't drive, I can't do anything for myself, and the stress, so with that stress, my speech gets worse because of the stress. I blubber more. And then when I was trying to argue with him to say, you can't do this, that's what he was doing to me. And I stepped back and I started to cry, thinking, that's how mean, how could you do that? But God bless him. At the time, he was going through his own stuff. And looking back, I realised that he was going through a breakdown himself. But he was, in the moment, you don't recognise it. You just recognise someone's being mean to you. And he couldn't cope with me not working and me being sick. He couldn't cope with that. And then it got to a stage where we lost the house because he said, well, if you're too sick to work, I'm too sick to work too, so he's not paying the mortgage. And we had to put the house up for sale, blah, 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 and it all came to pot. And all of that led to my life now. Because that was back in 2000. I had the stroke in 1999. We lost the house in 2000. We had to sell it. We both shared the money from the house, but then the government wouldn't help me, assist me, because I had the money from the house. They wanted to see it all spent on rent. I had to go rent. I couldn't buy another house because I was so sick at the time with the stroke, and doctors couldn't reassure me, the neurologist couldn't reassure me that I would be healed, or I would get back to how I was. So I thought I could have bought a house in Trinidad, but then I thought, but if I buy a house in Trinidad, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to pay the light? Because I can't work. So that didn't make any sense. And then nobody would give me a mortgage in England because of my state of health, and I'm not working. So the money just went. I tried to hide it in the kids' accounts, and they wouldn't know about the kids' accounts until it just went. So I've rented since 2000, and it's just been that journey, and I'm stuck there because of my health. It's just paying other people's mortgages for them, you know. But I'm not resentful. It is what it is, and the whole journey has made me write this book. Yeah. Somebody had a question.
Well, it was to do with your house.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
So you actually answered it. But what I will ask is that because you've been through a lot, and I can mention that you actually are standing here today, so actually don't add to yourself, we have had what the snippet of what which you've actually shared, but I was going to ask you about your family, because it seems that have they actually read your book?
Well,
have you had any feedback from
yes,
them?
well, so when the book has finished, I read, because of the edit, you read through your book quite often, and every time I was so conscious, like in my phone, in my notes, I wrote down everybody's name and the name I gave them in the book, so I would remember who's who. So I would know. So, and then there's certain places I had to tweak and change, just so I didn't get it, because it wasn't to name and shame. It was my story, my journey, and I should be allowed. If I was to stand up in church and do a testimony, it's my testimony. You can't take that away from me. It's my truth. So I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me. This is my perspective of it. So when I finished, the very first book that came to me, I gave it to my older sister, and she's very critical. This one, you can't mess with this one. Because when she said, oh my gosh, Ali, it's, oh my gosh, Ali, you just have to listen to her. So I gave her the book, and in dread kind of thing, but I did make sure that it was kosher, it's going to be okay. So after a few days, she rang me. She went, Alison, that book! Oh, the dread. The trepidation. I was literally there thinking, oh my God, I've done something wrong. Oh my God, she hates it. And she went, it's brilliant. I can't believe it. Oh, this is why you did so and so. Oh, that's why you did that. I got one question. Who was that so and so? We're not going there. I go, the names are changed for a reason. I'm protecting. I don't care what you've done to me. It's over. It's done. It's under the blood of Jesus. It's finished. But it's my story. I'm not there to tell it to shame you, which is why I changed your name. It's not there to belittle you or anything else, or for people to make judgment on you. This is about me. If you want to make judgment, judge me. So my brother then read it. My brother loved it. And I'm thinking, to me that was my go-ahead. After I had my siblings' approval, I was ready. I was good to go. Unfortunately, my niece, I have a couple of nieces that read the book, and then one of them came up to me and she said, Auntie, you never told me it was at 18. I thought it was a 12, it was a bit much, a bit too much. I think, but you're in your late 30s, 40s, man, it's like, get a grip. But then at the same time, because I said to them, everybody writes an autobiography, everybody writes a memoir. Look at Meghan and Harry and all these people, because everyone's got a story, but all these people that write books, they're somebody's child. They're somebody's brother, somebody's cousin, but you read it and you think it's okay. And then she said, yeah, but we know you. You're our auntie. So then I got it. I realised it's like, if I was to maybe read a story about my daughter or my auntie, and it was very personal, and it had parts of abuse, childhood abuse, sexual abuse, and all the rest of it that happened, I would feel a bit squirmish as well. So I understood the skirmish. One of my nieces got so vexed. She rang my mum. Don't read the book. She rang my mum. Did you see what Aunt Shani did? Don't read the book. So we don't really see eye to eye on that one. But I still can't understand what the problem was, because if my siblings were okay with it, they're just my niece. And then you might be hurt by, I still don't know what, because it's my story. It happened to me. This is my truth. You can't be angry with me for me. And this is it heals. I'm telling you, it heals. It opens up people's minds and realize there is hope for everybody. And the most important thing in life is forgiveness. You have to forgive other people, but most of all, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself. So, yeah. I don't know, Carl.
Any more questions, folks?
Well, I don't have a question, but the bit that you've read, I can see that it's a healing book. And I think even places like in school or in women refuge,
Definitely.
You should be really,
Yeah, definitely. I would love to do a lot of women engagements and women talks. I mean, I think men can read it too, but it is more from a woman's perspective. But then it's like when you read it, you see the male part and how with my husband played. And even down in, but it's not all doom and gloom. My teenage years in this are hilarious. But when I met my husband, hilarious. There's some funny parts. This book makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it makes you sigh, it makes you take a breath. I think, okay, let me go and get a drink now and come back. It's one of those books, and a lot of my friends and people that have read it have said once they start reading it, they can't put it down. And then when they have read it, it's like the feedback has been brilliant. I must say, I'm so proud. I'm proud of myself, I'm proud of the book, I'm proud of my publishers, I'm proud of my family, for a lot of my cousins and relatives have read the book. My mum hasn't read the book yet because her eyes are really bad at the moment, but she knows, when my niece rang her and told her, don't read the book, don't read the book. My mum knows 98% of this book anyway, so it was like a waste of time you ringing to call my mum, because mum already knows. So it's, and Dad passed away, and didn't get to know that I did this book. He knew about the other ones, didn't know about this book. And today is Dad's birthday. It's his first heavenly birthday today. He died last year, June, and he was, we celebrated his 90th birthday, 16th of May last year in Trinidad. But all my siblings had come down to Trinidad. We had a really good dinner with him, and he was so happy. One of my brothers he hadn't seen for years, he came down, and Dad was so happy. And 2 weeks later, I went back to Trinidad and said, "Sorry, it's funeral. It's died suddenly out of the blue." So when this event came up and I saw it on the 16th of May, I thought, wow, come on, Pop. Come on, Pop, this is a present for you. So, there's nothing more I can say really in the sense of transformation. You can have transformation through trauma. You don't have to stay the bruising victim, and you don't have to be the victim. You can actually rise up and There you go. That's it. Give it all to God. Let Him take care of it. So, yeah, that's absolutely possible. Are you coming up next, Carl?
Yeah. Are there any more questions? One more question.
Yeah, my name's Dave.
Hi.
The question I wanted to ask you, within the process of developing the book, what barriers did you face and how do you overcome them?
The barrier I faced was myself. The barrier that I faced was being able to recollect and literally put pen to paper and write what happened to me. So there's one thing of feeling it, and there's one thing of knowing it's happened to you. But when you actually write it, you're putting a reality to it even more. Like you're expressing it, you're bringing it out. So there's a lot of times I had to step back and say, I need to take a break. I can't manage it. And then the other barrier was, am I protecting the person? Have I written it in such a way that no one's going to be reading it, and while they're reading it, I want to hit so-and-so boy, I want to hit so-and-so down here. No, I think that's not how I want you to read the book. I want you to read it with an open heart, with an open mind, and not be second guessing who these people are, because you know me. And these are the four people that know me, and they will try to work out who's who in the book. Then I realised you can't work out who's who in the book, so I'm too good. I was too good, you can't work it out. I mean, some people recognise themselves, like my sister would recognise herself. When I met my husband, it was such a comical night, and we laughed about it all the time. And she loved it, and my sister absolutely loved it. My brother absolutely loved it. My cousin loved it. The one that inspired me to write, she died of cancer last year, and she died before I wrote. I think she was alive when I wrote down to her. I dedicated that book to her because she really inspired me to write. But the barriers I faced was myself, and just making sure that I didn't put anybody under the car. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was safe, and no matter what I thought of you, no matter what you did to me, my aim is not to hurt you or to show you up. It's my skeleton that needs to be out of the closet, in the grave, buried, no more, turn dust to dust, ashes to ashes. Yeah. So
how long did it take to write? And in the terms of information with the publisher, how did you decide what stuff should actually go in the book and what did come out? What should come out?
I think it flowed.
Okay.
I think with each chapter, even with my childhood, obviously not every year, every milestone is in the book, but it was literally, it just flowed. Whatever came out to me from one chapter to the next, it was a stepping stone to the story of becoming who I am today. So it was like, caterpillar is crawling, it's going to go in the cocoon, the change is happening, and it's going to break out and become something else. And that this is what the transformation that I wanted to show. It took me a while to write. I'll say a good few years, maybe 10 years or so. 5 years when I actually put pen to paper and then it started to type it. And it's only because I'm starting because I needed that break, because it's a process. Each incident that happens, and to make sure that, okay, I'm over it, I can write this, and just double checking all the time that everyone is in a safe place and not incriminating anyone.
Okay, one more question.
So obviously it's your lived experience and it's your life, and obviously when you're writing, did you find that you'd be writing about a specific thing and then all these other different memories, and then you kind of go off into this memory and go off into that memory? How did you kind of manage all of that? Because obviously that's a long time span to write about.
It is, but it's because the things that I wrote about are the things that stuck in me anyway. for a long time. So I will remember my granddad, especially because what he did was so damaging to me. Because my granddad, yeah, he was like the original granddad. He had the bed, like Father Christmas. He was like what you thought what a granddad should look like. He was that granddad. And I loved him. He was like the best thing since sliced bread. I loved going to Trinidad to go and visit them. And he killed them. The one thing he did to me, and he killed it. And because it was so profound, it really stuck with me. And for me to write it down, I remember the holiday. It brought back the memories of the holiday. But anything that happened in the holiday was a shadow, because that one thing stuck out to me, and I was able to write that down as if it happened yesterday. And that's why it's I can talk about it now. I can talk about this book and just like cry before. I'd be like, no, I don't cry because I don't want to call this book. I love it so much. I really do. And I'm happy for the release. Anything was a release. Nothing made me go to another thought, another memory. It was always direct. Okay, this happened. Okay, so after this happened, I went to America in 1979, and this happened then, and this was this incident, and it was just a process, a step by step. So there's a lot of things that did happen to me, and then I counted afterwards the amount of men and boys that troubled me. I think it came up to 14 or 15, if I remember. Throughout my age of, how old was I? Oh, it happened before. So from the age of, say, 8 to 18. 10 years of different people taking advantage and me thinking that's love, and it wasn't. It was total abuse. So it stopped when obviously I met my husband. I met my husband at 18, and all that was put to the past. But I lived with a lot of it, and a lot of it damaged my marriage because of the intimacy. I found it very hard to be intimate because I would have flashbacks, and the flashbacks it messed up my marriage a lot. So that was one of the causes of our breakdown as well. So although I told my husband what happened in the past, I didn't hide anything from him, but the flashbacks were really, really bad. So that troubled me for years, until, like I said, I gave my life to Jesus, and a lot of these things were pushed away. So yeah.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen. Alison Ryan.
Thank you.
That was deep.
Yes.
So we got in there.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've got some more questions I want to ask. That was fun. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm also one of the authors of the 3 authors that we've got today. My name is Carl Foster. I'm the author of a book called Self-Made, and I wrote many years ago, and it touches on, I suppose, young people